Hello, mummies. Thought we'd drop a bonus episode for the public, or rather make it public for everyone, because a couple reasons. It's the holidays. I wanted to give you guys a gift. Also, we're hoping maybe if you haven't checked out the Patreon page yet, and you just heard about the bonus episodes and wondering what they're about and if they're worth it, we're hoping you're going to enjoy this and be like, I need more of those. So, it's a marketing ploy. And additionally, Ramin is in the middle of moving right now. So we were a couple days late this week getting out the episode, and it wouldn't shock me if we were maybe a couple days late next week as well. I'm hoping that's not the case. It should be, the full episode should be out Monday, but that would be a nice opportunity to put out a free bonus episode. So if you enjoy this, good, you enjoyed it. You can check out Patreon and get more if you like. Also, you can also just have enjoyed this and maybe you found your way to YouTube here for the first time. We would love to get some more subscribers. So check that out and enjoy this episode.
Busy, bam, bam, boom. The boys is back with another smash hit episode of Bind Under Bart, which is what we got going on today. I was just hanging out with my nephew, and he's going through this phase where, or maybe it's not a phase, but it's just so funny for him to replace actual words with B. They're like, hey, Lyndon, count to 10. He's like, bun, boo, bee, boar, 5, bix, Bevan, bait. And he's only 3 years old, but he's already figured out, like, oh, I'll do what you tell me to, but I'm going to put a B before everything.
I remember, first off, I thought that intro was so good. I was like, wow, was Ramin like working on that intro through most of the day? That was the busy bam bam boom. That's like, I'm like, is this our new
shirt?
Is this our new thing?
Shirt. That's got to be a new shirt. Busy bam bam boom.
New shirt.
So the first two busies represent work. The next one represents what did I say? Bam, bang, bang, boom. It represents sexual reproduction as opposed to asexual reproduction, which is less favorable in viral transmission, as we've learned in episode 35.
Of course.
Yes. But yeah, busy, bam, bang, and then boom is when the next cycle starts.
I remember going through a little phase in like second grade or something like that, where I was just asking people how to spell letters. I was like, how do you spell F? And like there
and
is
you're supposed to say F.
Yeah, and like everyone was just like, it's F. It's just F. And I'm like, yeah, but like, how do you spell it? Like, how do you? And I think there is phonetic. You just spell it phonetically, like EFF or something. You know? And but it was like driving me crazy that I couldn't get a straight answer from everyone, and everyone's like, what's wrong with this kid?
How old again?
Like second grade, so like 7.
Okay, that's acceptable. Still elementary. Anything is fair game elementary. I'm wearing Velcro. I've got sweatpants with the tags still on them. What's
your adult first off
film preference? Let's see.
First off, Velcro and sweatpants are both terrific things in my opinion. What's your stance on? Do you have a strong stance on Velcro in any way? Like,
no, I love it actually. And as far as shoes goes, I've been so disconnected from the fashion of it. I have no idea if it's come back into fashion and left and come back. But I do remember that in elementary school, there was like a certain year where Velcro just became out. Like if you're wearing Velcro, you're a little kid. It's all about tying your own laces. You got made fun of it, that kind of thing.
I just think that Velcro is just one of the most wonderful inventions ever. It's just like simple in its complexity. Someone was like lots and lots and lots of little loops, and then like just thousands of little hooks.
Yeah, and it's
just
all
randomly.
probability based, right? Yeah, because it's like chances are it's going to hook to enough of them. Yeah, when you look at it close up, it's not like, oh, you got to make sure it locks into place. It's just the odds are a lot of those loops are going to connect to a lot of those hooks.
Yeah,
many of them won't, but most of them are. So it's this like you're playing the odds, but it's also probable that you put the Velcro on. It's like a 1 in a billion shot that it doesn't attach at all.
Yeah. I think that it's
this is just
like winning the lottery ticket. Not a single one attaches. There's because I feel like when you're a kid, you'd have the 2-strap Velcro, and it's still so. There's climbing shoes that are Velcro, but those don't get used as much because you don't have like rock climbing shoes have to be so perfectly fit to every little inch of your foot, so you have to be able to regulate the tying of it in different areas and stuff. But at the same time, they hurt your feet, so you have to kick them off more than any shoe, other than like
what
maybe
part? The top of your foot hurts the most, or what?
The toes.
The toes hurt the most. I wonder if Alex Honnold has really good climbing shoes, or if his free solo thing was like, no, I'm just gonna wear like 10-year-old Skechers. He probably had good shoes.
Yeah, well, you get them. Oh man, it's been so long since I've climbed that I'm even forgetting the terminology. But you get them rind isn't the right word. Come on, Shane, what is it? But you get them like when you have shoes that you like, you can get them resoled. So you get the rubber redone on them. And yeah, the shoes are a pretty important part, but they kind of so when you become really good, they have really aggressive. They're so tight and they crunch your feet in, so it just puts all of this kind of artificial pressure on your toe, so that because you're trying to get your toe to stick on something that's like, sometimes it's like the width of a couple credit cards.
Damn. That's how those people can climb buildings and stuff. Because they have those like toes that are just angled in, right?
And you're just putting so much weight on something that is like a centimeter is a dream. Like anyone can get like most of their body weight on a centimeter. But in terms of the Velcro and regular shoes, I think now they have you put the whole thing over and that's Velcro and then it goes down. I should look into that because logically, I always think Velcro looks stupid, but logically, Velcro is just incredible.
I never even thought it looked stupid. That was just one of those ones that the outside world was dictating the taste.
Yeah, it's true. That's me just being a sucker for cultural conditioning.
We're all doing it. Like hair is not going to be in style in 100 years, maybe. Eyebrows are going to look stupid. And then we're like, hey, look at their eyebrows 100 years ago.
Yeah, certainly like having long hair gives me a new window into things. It's like I have like hair because my hair will get tangled and I'm untangling it. And then just like a clump of hair gets ripped out and everything. And like, I remember having exes that are like, my hair's falling out. Look at all this hair. And am I balding? Like, no, that's just when you have long hair, you're just always ripping hair out from your skull.
And there are no bald women other than chemo patients. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's like 12 that their hair fell out a little because of like a white blood cell count that's missing or something, but not natural male pattern baldness sort of thing.
But it's also funny the way like people look at you, like when you have long hair, like a man with long hair, like this is ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. There's nothing like all of it's none of it's survival based, which is weird that women have it and have longer hair too. But like a beard, for example, you'd be like, why the hell would why would you evolve a beard? And it has to be like somewhat attached to sexual selection, which means there has to be something that's, so sometimes there's oh man, I'm losing my words tonight as usual. But sometimes there's, so on you have a bunch of genes, right? And sometimes something will happen where you're like, why is that being favored? Why is that being selected for? And it's not actually being selected for. It's just because it happens to be right next door to something that is being selected for.
Oh, it's the friend of the person that's on the VIP list. So it just sneaks in with them.
Yeah. So there's like weird things that happen. Like I don't know that this is a good example of this, but I just saw a thing recently that people with red hair have a gene that seems to increase pain tolerance.
I heard that. Yeah. Gingers have the highest pain tolerance.
Which is like convenient because they get picked on quite a bit too. I wasn't ginger when I was a kid, but that was the stereotype.
And isn't ginger a defect also? Like I remember in anatomy or something where it's technically a genetic mutation, or not mutation.
It's a recessive trait.
Yeah.
Recessive. Yeah. And yeah, so there's things that come along, but it's like, a beard is like, this isn't stopping any punches to have a beard. There is no survival advantage to it. And so if it's just that it looks, there's also like testosterone is kind of hard on the immune system, so potentially it's signaling fitness because it's a handicap. It's handicapping yourself, so because you can take a hit on your immune system, it's signaling that.
And it's contouring for men. We've talked about that. That's a more modern look at it, but women contour their face with makeup, and we contour it with facial hair, and it looks kind of weird to a lot of people. Like if you shave for the first time, you're like, oh wow, my nose is bigger than I remembered it. My mouth is like.
You can imagine a time when you had to like cut your beard with a sharpened stone or something. And that is an impressive skill. So it is a way of advertising right on your face, your tool making abilities.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. See what I did here? Imagine what I could do for the inside of the cave with 2 of our children that have survived out of the 20.
Who knows? Fun stuff to think about, though. Let's get into the art episode. Welcome, everybody. We did our standard 10 minutes of riffing about
the lobby, as we like to call it. The lobby. There's cucumber water, strawberry water, lemon water, a little bit of regular water left, but enjoy yourself in the lobby. We've got it all.
That's a perfect name for it. Oh, big fan of those waters too. Such a sucker for it when they have the cucumber or the strawberry. Oh, yeah. Nailing it.
Especially when the cucumbers aren't brown. Especially when they're fresh cucumbers.
Yeah. Ooh, these cucumbers aren't even brown. So this art piece, I'm excited about because I haven't seen this one in a very long time.
Over 5 years old.
Yeah, Ramin's book, Cave Paintings for Future People. The piece is titled History. If you go on his site. And it says, still in period of history where things not figured out yet.
Clearly.
And so I'll read. This is from Benjamin Bedley. Did we do one for Benjamin? I think he's getting it. I think this might be a second one that he's getting, but screw. I like the name Benjamin Bedley. What's your take on that name?
Love it. It's like Benjamin Button, but it's about beds.
Yeah,
and it's like very English sounding, but high class English. Maybe not a king, but at least a duke or some kind of lord. Benjamin
You
Bedley.
think well, definitely not a king. Benjamin Bedley? I'm not taking orders from the guy. No. I could see it. I could see a duke. Yeah, I could see a duke. Okay. So I love this piece from Cave Paintings from Future People. I like to keep that book on my coffee table and pick a piece or two to meditate on every day. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Did I tell you Pete Holmes? I ran into him the other day and he said that he keeps it on his toilet.
Really?
But they said it's a compliment. They're like, no, it's a compliment. We keep it there. And
it'd be weird if it wasn't a compliment. I keep your book on my toilet because when I read it, I shit everywhere. Sometimes I get flocked up, but reading your book just makes me spray out my innards.
I wish it worked on me.
All right. So this is a fun one. One, with respect to the past, I think this piece has heightened relevance for me when I think about the 24-hour news cycle and how fast time seems to move at a societal level. For example, the society we lived in 2012 feels very different from 2021, although on the timeline of human history, these 2 points are very, very close together. 2, with respect to the future, I'm fascinated. Do we want to do one at a time?
One at a time in terms of what?
Like talk about, riff about? There's 3 here, or should I just keep going?
Let's go through all 3 and then we'll revisit them because they might tie together. Whereas if we talk about the first point, we might overlap one of the points.
That's true. That's true. Solid. All right. 2, with respect to the future, I'm fascinated by how our future societies will look back on this point in history.
We're obsessed with that, aren't we? We're like, I can't wait till future people look back at this time and wonder, but they're just going to be so busy with whatever thing is happening then that they're going to forget. But maybe some will.
Of course. I mean, do you think it has to do with? I think this is everything has a zillion variables. But do you think one of the things that primes this is just our own mortality and the transient nature of life, and plus we're social animals too, so we think like, well, what happens when I die? I wonder if solitary creatures even give a shit. Like, you just live and then you die, like whatever. But when you're a social animal, there's so many other drives of like, what about my family, and how are they going to be okay, and how are they going to feel, and are friends going to celebrate me, and am I going to be remembered? And there's so many other things that, I mean, from my point of view, since we brought up evolution as usual, I think there's a lot of like genetic reasons why those psychological mechanisms got favored over time, because you leave behind resources for your offspring and social networks, etc. But I feel like it has to like I need to make a mark, right? I want to be remembered, right?
Yeah.
Has something to do with
at first it's like, okay, I want legacy for myself, and then it's like, well, my family and friends will remember me fondly, and then it's like, well, future people will remember this period that I occupied as like I'm wearing the same kind of pants as the famous people, sorta, so I'm like part of the vibe. Like, you go look at 60s London, and it's like everyone looks like Austin Powers, and one person you're like, oh, is that guy in the Beatles? Oh no, they just all kind of dressed like that back then.
You get to be part of the vibe, and the vibe is remembered. That's a fun insight.
But not even that. Even that won't be remembered, because like, what were they up to in 1940? If you ask the average person, like, we don't know. We'll be like, well, World War II, I guess, and maybe toasters were invented. Sure, the phone was around, but not the internet, not the computer. The car was around.
It is hard to measure based on decades alone because the impacts are like inventions and cultural shifts. So like the invention of a car, a global pandemic, a world war, a collapse of a financial system. Those are the things that like make for, whereas like, 80s or 90s, it's like, yeah, they have a feel, and it's nice that we're like we like to group things in tens, and we have this nice little start and end that you just don't need to think about that much. But it's I don't know, I think it has more to do with these like bits of like hypersalient changes. And the 70s were radical change. I'm not sure the 40s were like as revolutionary in terms of happenings.
No, but, I mean, it was World War II, right? That early 40s?
Was it?
I don't know. I think in my head it's like 38 to 1948, somewhere along there. I'm not a history buff.
Oh, no.
I just know that World War I and World War II took place separately, and that one was after the other. 2 takes place after 1.
Yeah, I would, if I guessed, I would say, yeah, I think you're right with 40s, but I have no stock in. Okay. September 1st, 1939 to September 2nd, 1945. I also thought it was longer than 6 years. It was a quick world war. Yeah. In my mind, it was a thing that stretched on for a bit longer.
Very salient characters and happenings with it.
Yeah. Okay,
it's so a big franchise too. World War.
Yeah. Let's get the whole world involved.
You've got Stalin, you've got Hitler, you've got Mussolini, you've got whoever the Japanese guy was, you've got I don't know, Eisenhower, who was the American president. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, all these questions.
Isn't that funny? Like during the Trump
buff.
years, people will look back and be like, oh, who was president then? Oh, Trump. Interesting. And they'll just remember it as this like old guy. They won't remember it with like, well, he was a reality star and he was born rich and he had gold hair and he was ridiculous and we never thought he would make it past the primaries. And then he won the whole thing. And then he wasn't even, he did 4 terms. It was nuts. Every day we talked about him. It was crazy. They're like, shut up. We're already over it. Like, I don't remember the last time I heard anything Trump said. I mean, occasionally you'll run across an article that says like Trump disapproves of Biden's blah, blah, blah. And like, but that's not a headline. It's a little headline somewhere. And I don't know.
Yeah, there's still like MAGA's now a thing that's like beyond Trump almost, where, I was talking with a political scientist on Here We Are recently. That was like, I forgot what brought this specific thing up. It was the guy that we got the political surveys from, Kevin Smith.
Oh, nice.
Kevin B. Smith.
Yeah, don't forget that B. Michael B. Jordan, Kevin B. Smith.
Yeah. He was talking about how, there's these.
I love that it's a B too, like implying the secondary. Like, I'm not the Kevin Smith from Clerks. I'm not the Michael Jordan from basketball, but I am still a Kevin Smith. Kevin Smith B.
There was, yeah. What's your middle name, by the way?
Steven, named after some English guy that my parents were best friends with. And they gave me that name in case like I wanted a regular American name to go by, because some people they say like screw it with my foreign name, but I never did that. It always seemed weird to me.
Stephen Nazer would have sounded fine.
Yeah, it's normal.
I would have been an accountant. I'm glad you're not. Something. Yeah, I'm glad you're not Stephen Nazer, but it would have sounded fine. That's some smart bet hedging.
Yeah. Also, there's no middle names in Iranian culture, so it's kind of like, well, what are you going to name your kid your middle name? They're like, oh, I guess we hadn't thought of that. We'll name it after this guy, and then your brother will get this guy.
I have a middle name not necessarily attached normally with my ethnicity as well.
It starts with an E, right?
T.
I used to know it. Damn.
We'll give people a second to
Tiburon.
Close, actually.
T-
Not
Tiberius?
too far off. Closer.
Tiberion.
Same ballpark.
Tiber.
It's Ty. It's Tyson.
Tyson. Oh,
Yeah.
I knew that because I remember like associating it with the chicken brand, and that it's also kind of like.
Yeah.
Is Tyson like a black name? Is there a lot of black people named Tyson? I mean, I know Tyrone is the typical like caricature one, but
I should
Tyson.
double check this, but I think I might have been named after a black friend.
Hell yeah. Score.
Don't quote me on that, but
quoting Shane Mauss says, "I have a hood pass," being a Tyson. Man, I read this interview with John Mayer from man, I hope this doesn't. No, this is fine because this is public record. But like me and Catherine were talking about John Mayer and how he put his foot in his mouth a lot in the earlier days. I'm like, oh, really? I mean, I know he was just kind of arrogant and stuff, but what did he say? And then she's like, well, he said that, my heart is a Benetton ad, but my dick is a white supremacist, and it's in the KKK. And that, and this is all like, it's all there. You can search for it. Like he said this like 10 years ago. And then another thing he said was about how people say that you have a hood pass. Is that true? And he goes, I'm not sure it's true. If I did, wouldn't it be called and then says an N-word pass?
Wow.
And then Talib Kweli says,
that was around the time he was trying to get into stand-up comedy, huh? Like
bingo. Yeah, he
figuring out that benign violation, like awkwardly figuring out that.
Let's start by leaping over the line instead of putting our toe in it. Yeah, he called Kumail Apu during a mic or something. Yeah. Kumail was the host at the Comedy Store, and I think he's like, keep it going for Apu, everyone. Great guitar player, though, and he's changed a lot, so this is fine to roast.
Yeah, we all grow. I mean, it's hard to, like, I look back at when I was, like, 12 or 14 or shit, even a little older than that, and some of the fucking horrible stuff. It's hard with, bigotry-based jokes that are, like, about just, it's often coming from like an almost naive, just button pushing, like, oh, you say I can't say this, well then it will be funny if I say that. And it's weird because it's like, it is funny, like you get laughs at that. It's funny within like the model of comedy that you are using at that time, which is wrong, much like Newton figured out some things and I say blah, 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 you have to like figure out humor in that way where it's like, okay, like I get why you think that's funny. It's just that, sometimes I feel bad for people for like just trying to, like, I hear plenty of non-offensive jokes all the time that are absolutely horrendous, they're not offensive, they're just missing the mark in they're too benign, they go the other way and are too cheesy or whatever else, and everyone's just trying to like make social lubricant and blah blah blah, and oh my god, it can be so fucking awkward. Like missing the mark one way or the other, both can. I guess it's why people like have such respect for comedians or whatever, because it's hard to, if they do have respect, it's hard to dial in exactly what that sweet spot is.
And it expires like a decade from now, like no matter who you are, or some stuff holds up, but for the most part, comedy is meant to expire like bananas and just move on from it. But you were talking to someone about the Icarus story, right? Like on a Here We Are recently.
I tweeted about it.
Oh, you tweeted about it? But I was thinking like how the Icarus story, we always remember the don't fly close to the sun part, but the true story is also don't fly too close to the
wings
sea.
Will get wet.
Yeah, it'll dampen them and they'll fall apart. So it's about that sweet spot.
I love that story so much. I was thinking about it. Well, I love thinking about cognitive biases, and I was just thinking about kind of the middle ground fallacy, and we've talked about it on the show in the past of the kind of related to both sidesism and that sort of thing, where someone okay, one person says Earth is round, one person says Earth is flat, Earth is a cone. Let's go with the and Icarus was kind of like, so I was like looking into that one a little bit and thinking about it some, and because we tend to like take the temperature. It'll be like someone will be like, oh, vaccines cause autism, and then someone else will be like, no, they don't, and then someone will be like, what if they cause a little bit of autism? Like that's
the people get
it. and so it's an issue, and I was kind of looking into that, and that was an example of some of the early philosophical recordings of trying to figure out that middle ground. And that was, and it just got me thinking about how fucking crazy that story is. It's like some dude's dad that wanted to like get away. Icarus's dad was like, we gotta fly out of here on these wings that I made. By the way, don't go up too high or it'll melt, because they didn't know that the sun wasn't close, and also they didn't know things got colder. How do they not know things got colder with altitude? You'd think they knew that. And then like feathers get wet all the time, so why they were worried. But I loved that was the major concerns. It wasn't the flying with handmade wings attached to your arms that they were worried about.
Yeah.
It was getting a little too high or too low.
And that must have, I'm sure there's, this is unpacked better than the way I'm about to put it, but yeah, wouldn't it be confusing that if you think the Earth is flat and then the sun is there and then it's getting colder as you get high up closer to the sun, like, wouldn't that be an indication of something?
Yeah.
Like, why is it not getting hotter? I'm getting closer to the sun, I think. But what is this? Are these magic cold mountains with cold demons in them? Must be.
Also, wax doesn't just like start on fire. It's wax. It's made for candles and stuff. Like it start to melt a little bit before you're like, oh no, all the wax is like, it wouldn't just instantly. It is, I recognize that it's silly to pick apart such a myth, but it's fun to think about. I used to just not care about any of that stuff at all, hearing those and be like, those are stupid stories. Why would you hear about them? Why would anyone care? That used to be my view, decades ago or whatever. But now I think it is fun to hear like what that was their TV back then, and like a lot of, and it'd go through like so many iterations and stuff. And that's like what people did for entertainment, was put together these things that taught these moral lessons. And
and then when the radio came, they're like, this is the end of society. Like, our storytelling is over. Kids are just glued to the radio. They won't stop listening to the Marx Brothers and the Farrelly Brothers and the Piss Palm Brothers and the other brothers that are the Sklar Brothers.
I love the Piss Palm Brothers so much.
It was all brothers back then,
poorly
wasn't it?
named, but man, those Piss Palm Brothers sure rocked.
That's how we're gonna sell the tour. Mind Under Matter presents the Piss Palm Brothers, and that's how we're gonna sell out arenas.
Piss Palm Brothers reunion. So going back to our friend Benjamin Bedley, with number 2, with respect to the future, I'm fascinated by how our future societies will look back on this point in history. What things will be discussed by by what we're doing. For example, my hope is that in the future, society will be horrified that we put our elderly in nursing homes and visit them once or twice a year on holidays.
Instead of zero.
I mean, it is fucking crazy, but it's also, yeah.
It goes back to, you were saying that history is defined by cultural shifts and technological innovations, and they're tied together because the invention of the car, from what I understand, meant that like teenagers no longer wanted to go live on the farm, and it's about like, you know, leaving the home, starting your new one, and before you would just grow up with the elderly and they would all be in one building, and then we split apart from that, and then so on and so on, and leaving us with that problem of the nursing homes. Or not the nursing homes are the problem, but just abandoning the elderly and not having a connection to death, like, or birth. Birth and death are like so isolated from regular existence. They take place in this building with people in white coats, which that's good. It's good that the white coats are taking care of them as opposed to just anybody, but still we're separate from birth and death.
Yeah. Nursing homes are fucking horrifying. I have like PTSD from being a kid. I think it's why I don't like I didn't like old people so much when I was young and, or have respect, because I got dragged to a lot of nursing homes when I was young. And my mom's like my mom's just like a very, very, very kind person who's just always visiting everyone and doing all of the social things that you're supposed to do all of the time, and big hearted and everything. And so,
that's good.
It is good, but it means you get dragged to a lot of nursing homes when you're a kid, and it's horror, especially to have parents that don't know how to have like complex conversations with you about such things. And man, that's like the smell of nursing home. Oh my God, it's just now I'm distracted just thinking about how horrifying nursing homes are. But
it depends on how much bread you have, I suppose. Like, I imagine there's nice ones, and my parents are even talking about, this is how they're so planned out and so responsible and stuff, but they've like, their plan is to go to this place where you get your own apartment, which is not a nursing home, and then like the floor beneath it becomes more nursing home, and then so on, and then at the bottom it's hospice. So it's like you get to transition from having freedom to needing help to needing more help to needing more help, and then my dad's like, well, we'll move in there next week, and my mom's like, slow down, how about like 10 years from now we start thinking about that?
The senior living communities, I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, it's one of the things that I've enjoyed about getting into pickleball is hanging out with so many like super old people, because it's also just a reminder of what a difference it makes staying active. People the same age that are just never, when someone, I'm not talking about people that are like in shape. I'm talking like, if you saw these people on the street, you wouldn't be like, wow, that old lady's in great shape. But there's a huge difference between someone that's 80 and plays pickleball every day and someone that is 80 and doesn't do shit.
Oh yeah. Fitness in terms of appearance and what you can actually do and your actual health are so like wildly different.
Yeah. All right. Number 3 from Benjamin. Third talking point. Potpourri would love to know if there are any specific inspirations Ramin remembers for this piece. Love the character in the middle with 2 guns and still seems to be losing. I also like the character with a sword and a gun. To me, he represents a transitory period in history.
Ooh, good catch there, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to look at this closer. Thanks for everything. Mind Under Matter and the bonus episodes have brought me a lot of comfort in times of transition in my life. My Instagram is at Ben Bedley.
Wouldn't it be great if instead of pronouns, we said our Instagram handle? Or what about both? Ramin Nazer, he, him, at Ramin Nazer. Like normalize having to have an Instagram and having to say it.
Yeah, we're pretty close. I feel like that dream might come true for you.
Yay.
So yeah, you want to talk about this piece a little bit? I didn't look at all of these nice little details here. Yeah.
I don't either. Like I don't a lot of the details I don't plan out as a large scale thing. It just kind of happens as I'm building it out, and then you just kind of end up with a lot of details because you get bored when you're drawing. So it's like, I'm not going to just draw the same guy with guns. Like, what if this one also had a sword and then this one? But it wasn't, from what I remember, memory is unreliable. So maybe it was triggered by one big important event, but it was 2016, I think, 2016, 2017, lots of turbulence in the news, like lots of, a shooting happens, or like something in Palestine, or some alt-right gang is showing up and trying to erect more statues of the Confederacy or something. And it just became like, just always you're seeing guns on the news, gun control, violence, this kind of thing. And you reflect back on the 60s and early 90s other times, and you just kind of realize you're in another pocket of history, and we're not living in the perfect Star Trek utopia where it's peaceful and things are figured out. Like, so much is not figured out yet, and we've seen it. We're still not figured out. Now it's 5 years since that piece, and we were lucky to just have that. No big virus doing stuff.
I feel like we're so close now to having it figured out, just right around. Oh yeah, just right around the corner.
The tiniest tweak would knock it all into place. I'm talking social stuff, financial stuff, health, longevity, all of it. And all of it can be unlocked by continuing to subscribe to our Patreon here at Mind Under Pop.
Vote Tweak 2024.
Yeah.
I really like that Tweak guy. Have you heard about him? He has a tweak. It's gonna fix the social stuff, the financial stuff. Like, wow. That's where everyone's been going wrong. They've been trying to make these big changes. They've been yanking on the wheel so much. We got to get Tweak guy in there.
Yeah, and I'm the candidate as Tweak guy that does not roll his sleeves up. Every president takes off their jacket and rolls up their sleeves. I'm like, no rolling up sleeves. Tweak. Just
you'll never need to see these arms.
Yeah. I'm not even a centrist. Like, center is too much. I'm like just Tweak. Just the tiniest tweak.
Yeah. I'm like kind of a wavering, kind of covering up my arms. Not a lot of grit. So yeah, this is I feel like we crushed it. I feel like this
so what is it? Potpourri was the third.
That was
statement.
The third one. So the first one was with respect to the past, especially relevant with the news cycles and things being very different from 2012 to.
He said the 24-hour news cycle, which, remember when that was a big deal. Now we're beyond 24-hour news cycle. We have cycles where there's this site saying this is the news. There's this other site saying the complete opposite of that. That's the news. And then you have everyone on Twitter is a Jon Stewart. Before there was no Jon Stewarts, then you had a Jon Stewart, then you had some knockoffs. Now everybody is submitting their SNL writers packet every day on Twitter.
I'm going to watch whatever channel packs 48 hours worth of news in a 24-hour cycle. Just all of it's it's the news that you're used to, just spoken at twice the speed, so they can pack twice as much in it.
Yeah. Or you know how they pan to camera too, like on Weekend Update or something, like they say one thing and then they pan to camera two, like say one version of the news and then say it the opposite take into the other camera.
Yeah. I do think it would be, I've never tried listening to the news at 3 times, but it might be kind of fun to, well, what do you think about this? It'd be hard to take it as seriously if it was just coming at you in a chipmunk voice.
Yeah, more schools commit to teaching critical race theory despite new laws passed by the governor of the...
Yeah.
And then the second one was with respect to the future, fascinated by how future societies, and that was the one that I got distracted by the nursing homes reference because it just made me sad, but he's right to be horrified.
Yeah. All those people are gone now. Everyone that was in that nursing home when you were a little kid and you didn't want to be there, they're all gone.
I know, but
they've got to be.
Yeah.
You're 40 now, so it's got to be gone.
Some of them were just in there for a bit too long, if you ask me. But yeah, this is a fun piece. And by the way, you can check, if people want to check out your book, Cave Paintings for Future People. The book it's a lovely coffee table book. I'm surprised I don't have it like within reaching distance here. It's terrific. It's like, isn't it like 300 pages or something like that?
Yeah, more. I think it's like 312, something ridiculous. If I could do it again, I wouldn't have made it that big because it's too expensive to print, but that's okay.
Living and learning. Well, get a bargain on Ramin's book that has the lowest profit margin of all of his things and is the most pain in the ass for him to pack and deliver and everything else. It sucks because he has to, like how Ramin delivers the book is on a bike with a basket.
Yeah.
And there's only so many books that he can fit in that basket. I told him he should put a basket on the back as well, but he says that's cheating. And so he goes through all of that just to deliver the book to your door. So go to Ramin Nazer. Please, no
Alaska orders, please. It's too far. Alaska is beautiful, but I can't bike up there anymore.
And thank you, Patreon supporters, Voids, Visionaries, sweet honey bears, Commande de Bouffons. You guys make this show happen, and so we make this bonus content for you, but also we just love doing it as well. So not only do you get to support the show, but you give us a heck of a good excuse to do something slightly different than our regular episodes. So thank you guys so much, and we'll see you again next week. See you, suckers!
Late sucked.